welcome to the Passenger Seat Podcast, a podcast designed to fill your passenger seat with chat about classic cars, all recorded from my 1968 Morris Minor Peggy. I'm Becca, and today I'm going to be following on from last week's podcast with my trip to North Wales. So if you haven't listened to last week's podcast where I give you the details of the Women Drivers Social Club event that happened in North Wales, be sure to go and give that one a listen first. Or even better, check it out on YouTube where you'll be able to see some of the footage that we got over that weekend. And if you remember, at the end of that podcast, we were driving back into North Wales. We'd spent the day at Chester Zoo with the Women Drivers Social Club, and we were driving back into North Wales along the A55, looking at all the traffic queuing to get out of North Wales, which was a fascinating queue, all things considered, because there was lots of cars and vehicles of all shapes and sizes in it that had been at the Llandudno Festival of Transport that had been going on over the weekend, and that we had actually visited with the Women Drivers Social Club. So it was great to recognise some of them, and I do feel for them being all sat in that traffic. But we were quite smugly zooming along the A55 in convoy with Vic, who is Tash's white VW Beetle, Jamie in his Reliant Scimitar, and Yayan in his Trafalgar Blue Morris Minor Laura. And Laura was going to be dropped off somewhere to stay for the week because at Tash's house, where we were staying in Conwy, there just wasn't going to be enough space for all four cars plus her neighbours and stuff like that. So Jan was quite happy to drop off his car so that he could spend the week being a passenger seat princess in Jaffa, the Reliant Scimitar, which he was very excited about. He'd had a nice time in it on the Saturday of the Women Drivers Social Club, so to get to spend a bit more time in it, because it is a very comfy and exciting car to be in, I think he was quite pleased about. We stopped off for some dinner at a restaurant that actually used to be a little chef along the A55, but now is an Indian restaurant. And if you know the young members and stuff, you know that curries are always popular, and that's mostly because of Yayan and Jamie. So we stopped off there, and it was a lovely place. It's now called the Little Indian Chef, and so you can kind of tell from the outside that it used to be a little chef, but quite different now. Had a lovely meal and then headed on into Conwy for the evening. The following day was the Tuesday, because obviously the Monday had been the early bank holiday in May, and we had some stuff to do in Betws and some stuff to do just south of that as well. So we went off in two cars for this. We went off in Peggy and we went off in Jaffa. Me and Tash were in Peggy, and Yayan and Jamie were in Jaffa. And we got to Betws and we went to the fantastic Hang In There cafe, which is along the little railway there as well, so you can sit there if you like trains and stuff like that, and you can also enjoy a lovely breakfast, which is what we did, and all the money from that place, all the profits and stuff, go to helping various monkey charities, which was pretty cool because my sister's a big fan of monkeys, so I was able to send her some pictures and stuff from that morning in there, and we'll come back to later on in the evening, because there's kind of two places in Betws that have this link to the monkeys. So we went there, and then we had a lovely wander around all the little shops and kind of tourist bits and things. Jamie got a very nice garlic grater and stuff from a little shop there, and there's a shop that Tash sells some of her art in that's called Artworks 2, I think it is, that's on the main drive-through Betis rather than kind of turned off into towards the car parks, and there's some really lovely local artists in there, including Tash's stuff. So we had a really nice time there, walked around, sat by the river for a bit. We were so lucky with our weather, both for this and for the island trip really, in that there was just fantastic weather for it all. If you can see out the windows and stuff of Peggy, where I am at the moment, you'll know that it's not that lovely weather anymore, and we've kind of hit a bit of rain, which we probably needed. But yeah, we had a lovely weather. We were sat there sunning ourselves by the river and stuff in Betis. And then our plan for the afternoon was to go and do the Evo Triangle. I've been doing some work for something called Cars with Character, and if you're not following them on Instagram, be sure to follow them, because there's going to be some exciting stuff coming when they relaunch in the next few weeks. And part of that has been doing some scenic tours, and so I tied that in with our little trip to North Wales to make sure that one of the most beautiful parts of this country is on there for people to go and explore in their classic cars. And one of those things that's always worth doing is the Evo Triangle. If you don't know what it is a test route that was used by Evo magazine to both take some photos and get a really nice feel for the cars that they were using. And it's quite popular now as a result of that, because you do get to try out some really interesting and different terrains whilst you're doing it, and also lots of different kind of scenery as well. For just one small triangle that kind of takes you a maximum of 40 minutes really to do, you get to kind of experience quite a different view out of your window. So we went to the start point of that, got some photos, and then did one route round, all in one continuous go, with Peggy at front and Jaffa behind. And Jaffa was filming the route for Cars with Character, but I'll put a little clip in for you guys to see here to get an idea of what an awesome route it is, and that it's well worth kind of checking it out when it ends up on the Cars with Character app. And yeah, we had a fantastic time doing it that way. And then what we did is went back to the start point, and I said, you guys go on ahead, enjoy it, but if you get to a scenic spot, stop, pull in, and then Peggy will catch you up, we'll take some nice photos, and then we will send you guys on. And I think they enjoyed that. It's a lovely route to do at whatever speed you end up doing it in, but Jaffa is somewhat more capable on hills and stuff like that than Peggy. Got a few more cylinders, got a bit more oomph, and so I think they got to enjoy actually really feeling what Jaffa can do on some of those bits, all within speed limits, etc., obviously, because the place is absolutely riddled with cameras nowadays, and you've got no chance of getting away with it. In fact, a couple of days after we were there, there was a Ferrari seized by the police because it was crossing over the solid lines to try and get like the best angles or whatever, but obviously causing quite a danger on the road as a result. So they're quite hot on it, but it's a beautiful thing to drive regardless at any speeds, and lots of fun, kind of lots of ups and downs and swizzly bits and stuff, so lots of fun. We really enjoyed it, and we even pulled in at Clynbrenig, which was a lovely reservoir area that has a nice little cafe and stuff. We were there unfortunately a little bit late to properly enjoy it, but it was quite a pretty little spot. And Then we headed back, pulled in for some more beautiful photos as we did, and then headed back to Betis because in the evenings the Hang In There pizzeria opens up, which is owned by the same people that we'd had our kind of brunch at earlier that day, and they do some fantastic pizzas in the evening, which is really good, and we had a lovely time there before we headed back to Tasha's house. On the Wednesday we had another driving tour to do, and this one starts over at Chirk, and the idea is that it's kind of a lovely route to bring you into Wales via some various interesting and scenic spots that you might want to take in. But obviously we were starting over at Conwy, and also we decided that the fuse holder that Jamie had got could be potentially fitted to the scimitar if we called in at Ian's parents on the way in to use his soldering iron and stuff. So we went in, called in at Ian's parents in Rhyl, and they had a go at soldering it in. Turns out that the little fuse holder that they'd got didn't have the highest quality of wire in it, and so was quite challenging to solder in, but they got there in the end. And then Jamie had a working fan on the front of the scimitar, which is always a bonus because they are somewhat times known for overheating, and like I said, we were having glorious weather, so it was nice to have that bit of reassurance that that was back working. We got over to Chirk, had ourselves a nice bit of brunch once again before we embarked on the route, and we stopped off at some really lovely places. And one of the things that I made sure to include on this route was the Horseshoe Pass. I remember doing the Horseshoe Pass, I think back in 2016, as a passenger in my dad's 1935 Singer Le Mans. Nelly, me, my sister, my mum, my dad, we were four up in the four-seater, and we were going up the pass, up to the Ponderosa Cafe to meet with all of the other singers that were there for that weekend. And I remember it being quite exciting and quite nerve-wracking in terms of being able to get up there, especially when we were four adults up in the car, but we managed it, and the views from there are just stunning. So it was something that I'd always wanted to do with my own car, but the last time that we'd been in the area, way back when I just bought Peggy, I'd actually ended up being a bit nervous because we'd had some trouble with hills, because I wasn't very confident with the car. I wasn't used to the car, wasn't used to knowing kind of what gear I needed to be in to get up. And I'd remembered it being really, really challenging, and it's not easy in an old car. It does take knowing your gears, knowing when to change, and patience, really. And so it was something that I was keen to include on the route, with obviously some warnings, and really excited to finally be able to do, now that 5 years later I'm a little bit more confident with the car, and also we've got a bit of a healthier engine than we had in the car back then. And it was so lovely, we really enjoyed it, and to then get to kind of we wanted to go to the Ponderosa Cafe, but unfortunately that's been shut down for the season and not opening in the foreseeable, which I think is really sad because it's such a historic and iconic place. And I do hope that it either changes hands, or the people that have got it at the moment are able to find a way to get it back open and up and running, and I'll be back for sure. But there's a lovely little scenic pull-in spot that we were able to pull in and kind of sit and enjoy the view for a little bit and take some nice photos of the two cars before we headed on for the rest of our route. And the route kind of took us about an hour and 40 minutes. If we'd stopped and actually done all of the interesting things that were on the route, then the route could easily take you 2 days to do if you wanted, so that was really nice. But we were kind of powering through and just just getting the route done and tested, which was fantastic. And I think it's a really fun route to try out. And so a really nice day of driving. We had a lot of fun with it, and it was so nice to be in convoy with the other car and to kind of check in with each other at each of the stops. It's quite a fun thing to do with friends, and we had a really nice day out, and lots of interesting spots and stops. And again, like I said, if you're interested in being able to do some interesting drives with your classic car or with your modern car, really, those will be coming in the next few weeks, hopefully, on the Cars with Character app. So check out their Instagram and stuff to find out more for that, and I'm sure I'll do some more details about it on the podcast in the not too distant future. But that was a really nice day, and we finished it up back at Tash's house, and had a nice evening there once again, because we had a pretty early start on the next day, because despite the fact that I'm not the biggest fan of trains, Jan had insisted that we were going to do the West Wales, Highland and Festiniog Railway and do the full length of it. So I caved, because they'd been ever so helpful and come and done the routes with us. And so we started off in Carnarvon, right by the castle, which looked really cool. We did struggle for a bit to find some parking, because it looked like they were having a food festival that weekend that meant that the car parks were all being taken over and set up on the day that we were there. But we got ourselves all set up and parked, and we'd just taken Tash's Beetle, so 4 of us, all of our picnic stuff that we'd bought the night before and things, all nice and sorted inside. Vic, the lads were in the back, we had all the leg room in the front, and had a lovely little drive over to Carnarvon in the morning, and then it was finishing at Port Madog. So a lovely kind of 2-hour scenic route through Wales, and absolutely gorgeous. Lovely views out of the windows, and lots of opportunities to take some really nice photos and stuff like that. And the trains are steam, so if you really like that, then there's definitely lots to see and take in. And it was certainly a nice thing to experience, and we got to Port Madog at the other end and got to get out, and we had kind of just over an hour to wander around, take it all in, see some of the like touristy trinkety shops. There's a really lovely bookshop that we went in and had a nice walk around, and a lovely like kitcheny shop that had lovely pottery and stuff in. I think it was the Port Merion shop, but it didn't just sell Port Merion. And so had a nice drive round and explore there. Then it was a lovely same route back past all of these places, and we were going, you have to stay in the same seats there and back ideally, so it meant that we were going the correct way, because me and Jamie had been facing backwards on the way there. And a really nice little trip, and we got back to Carnarvon and all loaded back up into Vic before we popped to the shops on our way back in, and had a really nice evening. And it was nice to have a day off of driving, but also get to experience Vic. I'm not sure if I'd been a passenger in Vic driving before that. Oh no, yes, I had at the Weekender in Yorkshire the year before, but it was nice to have a bit of a longer drive in her and experience kind of the German Morris Minor, as we call it. But it is a lovely car, and a real credit to Tash. And Then on the Friday, we had ourselves a bit of a break for everyone and just walked around Conwy, got ourselves all ready for the weekend, because the reason that we'd stayed for that week and had a lovely time in the area was that over the weekend there was a pirate festival going on that we were going to stay. We'd gone to last year with Yayan and Tash, and so we stayed to be able to go to it again this year. So Tash had a stall there with her art and stuff on, so she had to do some sorting out for that, and we had a nice little wander around the town and a nice kind of quiet day in Conwy. It's a beautiful town and another great place to visit if you were doing like a classic car tour or whatever. There's lots of clubs that do meets in the castle car park and stuff like that, and yeah, a lot of beautiful photo opportunities in it as well, and around the castle walls and stuff. Then it was the pirate weekend, so we had 2 days of dressing up and having fun and getting to go out on the quay and out in the water on a boat as well, so that was loads of fun. And then before I knew it, our little trip to North Wales was over, and me and Jamie were convoying our way out of North Wales on a Sunday evening, and the traffic was considerably less bad than it had been on the bank holiday Monday when we'd watched everybody kind of coming out of North Wales the week before. So we had a reasonably smooth trip and a nice little trip in convoy. We stopped off at our favourite services, rugby services. Well, I don't know if it's my favourite of all of them, but it's definitely a popular one with us for stopping off when we're on our way home, because we always seem to be on our way home along the A14, and so it's just before that on the M6, and it makes for a nice little stop. So we stopped off there, got ourselves a bit of late dinner before we headed on home, and we got home kind of about 10 o'clock-ish, which wasn't too bad really, a pretty decent run back. Really lovely week over in North Wales, all things considered, and the cars behaved impeccably. Now, if you follow me over on social media, you might have seen that on the Monday there was unfortunately a little bit of drama. So Yayan had gone to pick up Laura, his Trafalgar Blue Morris Minor, from where he'd parked it, and she wasn't there. And he'd gone and asked around and seen if anybody could remember when they'd last seen it and stuff like that. The last time that people had seen it had been kind of Sunday evening, and this was kind of Monday afternoon. So he rang the police to report it as missing, and a load of us sprung into action to put posts out there to say, look, if you know where this is, if you've seen it, let us know. We're desperately trying to find this car, because that car means so much to Yayan, and we will, I'm sure, get him on at some point to talk about Laura. You'll have seen Laura on the NEC Restoration Show podcast, and the story of Laura coming back to Yayan is quite an interesting one, and this, I feel, fortunately adds to that, but it was a bit nerve-wracking because he rang the police and we were all desperately trying to get the word out there that the car had gone missing, and that we were hoping to basically make it too hot for anyone to try and sell on. And about 40 to 50 minutes later, he gets a call back from the police to say that they think they know where it is, that they'd had a car reported to them at about 3 a.m. in the morning as being in the way and blocking someone's drive, and then it had moved and someone else had reported it as being in the way. And so there'd been 2 reports, so they gave Yayan the address and said, we'll meet you there to see if it is indeed the car. So they met him there, and it was Laura, and she was kind of about 1.5 miles away from where he'd parked her. And so the ignition barrel was on the floor, the back boot and stuff was messed with, and his coat was missing from inside the car, but loads of other stuff was still left. And yeah, it looks like somebody had kind of hot-wired it and taken it for a little drive or whatever. We think maybe some drunks or something, I don't know. And unfortunately it was found less than 2 miles away from where it was originally, with reasonably minimal issues and damage and stuff, and she's back up and running. She did go away for a little bit with the police to get some forensics and stuff done. I don't think anything's come of that, but for him to be reunited with it so quickly is a huge win. But yeah, we were very worried for a while there on that Monday, and I couldn't believe it that it was less than 2 miles away. Obviously so fortunate, but so glad that they found it, and it's really spurred us all on to looking into trackers and stuff like that for our cars, because obviously that would have alleviated some of the stress on the day, and hopefully helps with if anything like that does ever happen. So we've done the old fire extinguisher warning on the podcast before, and I think this is another warning to everyone about kind of the security of your cars, and making sure that you've got options to try and deter and make your car less likely to be a victim of theft and stuff like that. But so wonderful that he was reunited with his car, and like I said, we'll absolutely try and get Jan to explain the story. But as it happens, he's had Laura now back for a year. So the Monday that the car was noted as missing and he ended up finding it with the police is a year since he went and picked her up for the second time. So a bit of an interesting one. Not everyone believes in all these weird coincidences and things like that, but definitely an interesting one that is what happened, and quite an interesting coincidence, I think. But quite a way to have ended up our week, and we felt ever so guilty because the reason that Laura was obviously parked where she was kind of down to us having the cars and stuff up in Wales at the time. But so good that they found her, because otherwise I don't think me and Jamie would have been able to forgive ourselves. Bit of drama there at the end, but all in all a fantastic week over in North Wales, and just such a beautiful place to drive these cars and really enjoy yourself. So with that in mind, I think we'll wrap this up for the week, and I hope you've enjoyed hearing about it. Thank you ever so much for listening. Drive safely and happy motoring.